Leo tuko na the main sponsor KITHI Foundation, so atatueleza about the BAK na why ameamua kusupport this movement ya youth sana sana hususan kupitia basketball. Yes, how are you?
Fine, thanks.
So what's your name?
My name is George KITHI. I'm an advocate. I'm a resident of Kilifi. Thank you.
Yeah. So why did you decide to support the BAK Foundation?
Thank you. Now, sports is one of the activities that we want to engage in, and from sports we intend that we can partner with the youth, the most exposed, the most vulnerable member of the society. The youth of Kilifi is desperate because education is a marriage. The youth of Kilifi is desperate because there are facilities that ought to be engaged for purpose of benefiting him or her. The problem we have is that those systems that have been there have always been trusted to engage with the youth and secure them for their future, have all collapsed. Collapsed because there is broadening of interest and deepening of those interests such that the competition for interest in the country is much higher than before, because also there's the burgeoning of society, and many youth now educated do not have jobs. Many youth now intending to have forums for education cannot access those because of resources. And what we see is a wastage of generations and wastage of the youth. And therefore it is important then to tell the youth that they're important, number one, and identify with them. Number two is listen to them because they have something to say and contribute to society. But thirdly, and most importantly, is then discover them, discover the talents, and for the little things that they can do, they be engaged in where they are and what they can do. But eventually what is important is pick the little things that they can do and then blossom them for them. Such that basketball is one of the things that have been neglected in our society in Kilifi, in the county, and in the country generally. And we think that we have massive talent to engage with the youth. We took that initiative to bring them together and collect all the youth from the region and beyond, because Mombasa is also here. We wanted Kwale, we wanted Taita, but we didn't have that engagement on time, and therefore couldn't bring the teams. But we brought many teams. We brought all girls, we brought boys, ladies and gentlemen. And we had a good tournament, which is determining today. At the end of the day, we'll give them prizes, partly cash, and partly we'll give them what then will be available for them to take home. Out of that, we thought then there's a society to engage with, the Malindi society, but then the wider Kilifi society. We have here the medical partners. They come from the General Hospital in Malindi. But it's not just that. They come because they also want to be part of the history that we are rewriting for Kilifi. What they have done is they have deployed their resources in terms of time, in terms of the labor that they give, in terms of the sacrifice. They are not here to be paid. In fact, they are here because they're out of their jobs to be resting. But then they have engaged with the youth, with us, so that they can give to society. We've had some screenings, cancer screenings. Cancer is a big problem in our society as we speak. For one reason is that there's ignorance. One of it is because people think that cancer is a form of witchcraft. Cancer is a curse. And therefore, to engage in it, you have to engage it the traditional way. And therefore, if it kills you because there are forces out there that have defeated you. But the truth is, cancer is a disease. It's medically determinable and can be treated if properly detected and in early times. That's the teaching that we get from them. And the treatment has to be running over time. The cost is high, but it must be detected fast. And that's what we're trying to do. In fact, we've had a very successful event that has never been written before in terms of the history of the medical care that we have. We have so many volunteers that have come, and the men folk the men in the county do not engage easily in exposing themselves medically, but we've seen a culture developing, more men coming out to have themselves screened and to engage with the medical personnel and even the medical equipment themselves. We also have a way of advertising the medical care and telling people they are accessible if they want to come. It was not at any price. It was an engagement as a volunteer from the medics and giving back to society, which is commendable, and that's very godly. What we're trying to say, therefore, is that this is the beginning of it. We think with God's will, we'll do more and more. We're not doing this out of anything, but we think God calls us to do some of these things. These are good people, very beautiful souls that have volunteered. The danger is there. And more so we want to expose the challenges that we do have in medical care in Kilifi. Massive challenges, but the little that we can do is try to solve those challenges. They are glaring, but we have complemented before, we are complementing now. We will continue to complement medical care and the staff and continue to show them our love, because that's the only thing we can do. And we hope that encourages them to engage more with society. Again, we think we also can get more stakeholders to engage in the different phases and facets that we have. For instance, there is employment to be created. Bit and by and by, we will see what can be created out of this. But we do think sports is a creation of man, so that then he engages partly with man, but partly with proprietorship. So we think we can get also employment out of this by beginning to bring stakeholders who employ the youth to play for the teams or sponsor the youth to play, and eventually probably will reach at levels that can be international when we monetize sports. The other bit that we will be looking at also is how we can then engage with society, because medics are part of society. There are many things that we have discovered that ought to be done, can be done, but not being done, and yet they are needed almost immediately, and there are constant needs that we have in hospitals. We also have discovered that. We think we'll run with that and see what we can do there to improve on the obtaining environment. More importantly is that I think after here, the takeaways that we will begin and run with the management of the hospital, not just in Malindi but even in other areas, because we believe the problem here is the same problem that we have across the country especially. And that becomes our concern, because we are the part of the society. Again, as far as leadership is concerned, we continue to encourage our leadership. Where they have failed, they can pull up their socks. We will not engage them in public with outcry, with shouts, with insults. We try and sit with them and mobilize what can be mobilized, engage where it can be engaged, and we hope we won't be defeated, because we do know there are human beings who ought to be guided by the society who is ourselves. And also, we've seen a bit of proprietorship here. Businessmen have come, they volunteered and contributed to this tournament, to this competitive engagement with the youth in basketball. We think it's the beginning. We have more that we need to do. And thank you so much for also coming and being part of this bold, beautiful move towards engaging with society.
Okay, what's your take on parents who don't support their kids as talents for the kids?
I'll tell you something. Until you give the parents a conducive environment, you can continue to blame them. I've been to places like Bambam where there's no food. There's been no food for many days, say 5 days. And the parent has 5 children. Some of them are breastfeeding from her who was not fed for 5 days. There's never been water for the last 3 years. They've never been enabled to access water anyway. And that's immediate, because the body does not function properly, neither does the brain. So how does the parent, a human being, support another human being who is the child, such as to the expected standard? It is impossible. And therefore the child will fend for herself, especially the girl child. I do know that sex in exchange for pads, for instance, is rampant in our society. And the girls of 15, 16, teenage age who have never seen pads. What they know is pads are from pieces of cloth. I'm from lassos and from clothings and not pads. And therefore you can't expect the best out of those people.
Yeah. Speaking about the girl child, what's your plan? Because even for the league, I only see 2 girls team, but there are a lot of male teams. So what's your plan?
The girl child, I think the environment for the girl child has been properly engaged in the country. In the urban areas, we see an improvement on the girl child, and that's beautiful. It's very commendable. But that's for the middle class. There are those who live in the village who do not know that, who do not have news, and who do not know how to get help, neither do they get help at all. So the girl child suffers and continues to suffer. Her voice is suppressed, and she continues to be denied what is due to her. The girl child is a victim of sex. The girl child is a victim of those that have it. The girl child gets raped. She gets humiliated. I think that's uncomfortable. But for me, it's not just uncomfortable. I think as a lawyer, it's detestable and must stop. I know how to stop it. And as a lawyer, I do know that the force of law must be applied without mercy to those that victimize the girl child. And the boy child too, because I've handled personally in my engagement society so many defilement cases. And I have seen boys who get raped too. I have seen older men who defile boys and children at will. And because society thinks that is a shame, that gets covered up. And therefore, the victims also continue to be victimized. Either action is not taken, thus being victimized, or alternatively, it's repeated as many times as at the will of the person with the power to do it. It must stop. Invariably, it has to be stopped by someone, and I choose to be the first person to stop it. So I say this, I don't go into leadership or seek leadership for my own gain. I do think there's so much calling in society, especially in Kilifi, for things to be done the right way. Somebody has to take the mantle, be the victim of those that blame him or her, but again, take the problems head on and try to change society. It's what God needs, it's what He wants, and we have to do it.
Okay, we want to speak about the COVID-19 virus. So what's your take for the government to uplift?
I think I participated in the very initial victimization of those COVID patients. I defended the deputy governor of Kilifi, and I saw what it was about the fear for COVID. Our medics have gone through a lot. Some have passed on, and may their souls rest in peace. But we have learned to live with the situation as we speak. We think we know what to do with COVID. However, the facilities for the medics are pathetic, if I have to use that word, if you allow me. But I do know it's because they're not being resourced. Maybe it is not deliberate, but I think with proper care, those that are in authorities can give them better facilities. So we can't continue to lose those that take care of us, because then we'll have nobody to take care of us. But that's not the only thing. The other thing is the society itself. At a point, I think we lived with victimization more than attending to what COVID really is and the reality of COVID. The reality is we need to have more vaccinations now. We have to tell society that to vaccinate on COVID is to take care not only of the person who has taken the vaccine, but the next person that person lives with, because there's no person who doesn't live with another person in the society. So ultimately, therefore, we think we need to do our duty. One of the things we've done in this tournament is the medics, our medical officers have come here with the tests, and they've come here with the vaccine, and we vaccinated about how many people? About 50 people, which I think is a good uptake for our people. The stigma and of course the rumors that we've been hearing about vaccination affecting reproductive health and all that, probably is waning now, and society is accepting it. So by and by, we think eventually we will have society accept vaccination as normal and as the norm.
Due to time, what's your point to the society? What can you tell? Whatever you have.
I think we have a beautiful society in Kilifi. We just need them to get good leadership. That's what we are looking for. Good leadership in terms of directing them where they should, but we need serious leadership that take their roles more seriously. That's all we have. It's not that we don't have what it takes, it's just that we have managers who do not have what it takes.
Okay, lastly, your platforms, online platforms.
This is what I have to say. Leadership is God-given, but it's also demonstrable by one's action. So this is what I beg, that the people of Kilifi will continue engaging. I pray to them that they see that I'm worthy of the leadership, and that I be elected as Senator of Kilifi County in times to come, especially next year. We will engage more at that time. We do the little that we can do now, but God giving us a chance of leadership, I'm sure we can do more. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.